Book number 11, Owl Moon by Jane Yolen, illustrated by John Schoenhen. This is a Caldecott honor or medal winner book, so we know the pictures are going to be really great. We can also tell what season of the year it is, winter, and what time of day it is. Well, moon's out. It's got to be a night story. Owl Moon by Jane Yolen. You can also tell the setting of the story. It's not in the city. It's out on the country on a farm. It was late one winter night, long past my bedtime, when Paul and I went owling. There was no wind, and the trees stood still as giant statues, and the moon was so bright the sky seemed to shine. Somewhere behind us, a train whistle blew, hoo hoo, long and low like a sad song. I could hear it through the woolen cap Pa had pulled down over my ears. A farm dog answered the train. Arroo! And then a second dog joined in. They sang out, trains and dogs, for a real long time. And when their voices faded away, it was quiet as a dream. And I walked on towards the woods, Pa and I. Our feet crunched over the crisp snow, and the little gray footprints followed us. Pa made a long shadow, and mine made a short, round one. I had to run after him every now and then to keep up, and my short, round shadow bumped after me. We reached the line of pine trees, black and pointy against the sky, and Pa held up his hand, meaning stop. And I stopped right where I was and waited, and he looked up as if searching the stars, as if reading a map up there. The moon made his face into a silver mask. Then he called out, "Whoo, whoo, 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 whoo!" The sound of the great horned owl. "Whoo, whoo, 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 whoo!" Again he called out, and then again, and after each call he was silent. And for a moment we both listened, but there was no answer. Pa shrugged. I shrugged. I was not disappointed. My brothers all said that sometimes there's an owl, and sometimes there isn't. We walked on, and I could feel the cold, as if someone's icy hand was palmed down on my back. And my nose and the tops of my cheek felt cold and hot at the same time. But I never said a word. If you go owling, you have to be quiet, and you have to make your own heat. We went into the woods, the shadow of were the blackest things I'd ever seen, and they stained the white snow. My mouth felt furry, for the scarf over it was wet and warm. I didn't ask what kinds of things hid behind black trees in the middle of the night. When you go owling, you have to be brave. When we came to a clearing in the dark woods, the moon was high above us, and it seemed to fit exactly over the center of the clearing, and the snow below it was whiter than the milk in a bowl of cereal. I sighed, and Pa held up his hand at the sound, and I put my mitten over my scarf, and listened hard. And then Pa called, "Whoo, whoo, 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 whoo." I listened and I looked so hard, my ears hurt. And my eyes got cloudy with the cold, and Pa raised his face to call it again. But before he could open his mouth, an echo came threading its ways through the trees. Whoo, 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 whoo! Pa almost smiled. Then he called back, "Whoo, whoo, 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 whoo!" Just if he and the owl were talking about supper or about the woods or the moon or the cold, and took my mitten off my scarf, off my mouth, and I almost smiled too. The owl's call came closer and closer from high in the trees on the edge of the meadow. Nothing in the meadow moved. All of a sudden, an owl shadow, part of the big tree shadow, lifted off and flew right over us. We watched silently with heat in our mouths, the heat of all those words we had not spoken, and the shadow hooted again. Hoo, 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 hoo. Grandma's book is getting decrepit. I fixed a lot of the pages, but this one I didn't get to. Pa turned on his big flashlight and caught the owl just as it landed on a branch. For 1 minute, 3 minutes, maybe even 100 minutes, we stared at each other. Then the owl pumped its great wings and lifted off the branch like a shadow without a sound. It flew back into the forest. "Time to go home," Pa said to me. I knew then I could talk. I could even laugh out loud. But I was a shadow on the walk home. When you go owling, you don't need words or warm or anything but hope. That's what Pa says. The kind of hope that lies on silent wings over a shining owl moon. Grandma may have to buy a new copy of this one or fix it better. Have a good day, everybody.